Hello, I'm Stacy Penna, the NVivo Community Director here at QSR International, and I'll be showing you how to organize with NVivo. First, just to talk about how NVivo can help you with your research process. So it can help you collect your data, transcribe your data, manage, analyze, and visualize your data, collaborate with colleagues or research teams, and then to publish your journal article, book, or dissertation. NVivo can help you work with all different types of data, so Word documents, PDFs, you can bring in social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, also audio and video files. We also integrate with bibliographical software like Zotero, Mendeley, RefWorks, and EndNote. If you're doing surveys, we integrate with Qualtrics and SurveyMonkey. Though if you don't have those softwares, you can export and bring in a spreadsheet into NVivo for analysis. And then we also integrate with SPSS. So I'll be showing you how to organize with NVivo. And I'll be concentrating on this section of NVivo, so how you can use your coding and codes in NVivo, how you can create cases, case classifications, organize your notes, so your memos, framework, matrices, annotations, and see also links, and also how you can work with sets. So in the project in NVivo, I'm going to go over the organize area of the navigation panel. So when you open up a project in NVivo, it helps you understand what the different terminology is in the different parts of the software. So you'll have this type of description come up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with codes. So I can create folders to help me organize my coding, either before I start coding or as I'm coding. So in this case, I'm just going to create a new folder and call it themes. I also might want to create a folder if I'm going to be coding journal articles, so I might separate that, name that my literature review. And because I had brought in a survey, it's already created some codes around the open-ended questions with the survey I brought in. So there's multiple ways to create codes. So I'm going to go to my themes folders under codes and start creating codes. So in open space, I can right click and create a new node. And I'm just going to call this dork. I can give it a description, which would then help me create a code book. I also can give it a color here. So when I want to bring up coding stripes, it'll have this color associated with it. I can also create codes by going to the Create tab and clicking on Codes. And so I'll start coding. So I'm going to go up to my files here and go to my interviews. So first I'm going to code on a Word document. So this was imported from my computer, and it makes a copy of the original and comes into NVivo. And you can see here, I can also create a code from the document itself. Go up here, I can bring up a code panel here, which is going to show me my different folders and my themes here. So I can easily code right to the coding panel. So in this case, to code, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this part of the interview, and I'm going to put it into water. So you can see it gets coded there. And I'm going to bring this part and I can highlight it another way. Instead of dragging and dropping to the code panel, I can also code, right click and go to code selection. And I could either bring it into field work here, so I'm going to do that, or I could create a new node or a child node, which is a node underneath field work or subcode from this code item also. So to see where I've coded in the document, I can go up and bring up coding stripes, and so I'll go recently coded. And you can see here I've coded to water and fieldwork. And if I click on the coding stripe, it's going to highlight in that color what I coded. So in blue for fieldwork and green for water. I can also change the name of the code from going vertical to horizontal. I can also code. If I go here, if I want, I can highlight this, and I could go down to the bar here and change it. So I'll change it to water to show you. And click on code. So sometimes people use this if they have a lot they're coding under the same code. This can make it faster. So you can see this was also coded to water. And I just want to show the code selection again too. So if I highlight, right click, and go code to selection, so I click over here, and then it creates a new code for me. So now I have beaches there. So that's coding a text source. Now I can also, I'm going to bring up a audio file to code, so Helen's audio file. So to code on an audio file, I can play the audio here. You can see it's playing. And when I want to start coding on the audio, I just click on the part. And then when I want to finish the selection that I want to code, click there. And I get this little blue box. So that's the part that I want to code. So I'll go back. So these are all my codes. To show the audio and video, I changed the sample project to make it easier so I had more data to work with. So I'm going drag and drop and put it into a code I create. So I'm going to create a new code called fieldwork. See, it's there. So I'm just going to drag that into fieldwork. I can also code on the text. Can also bring up video files, and again I can play the video and start and finish, or I can also click off the wave and pick the part of the audio file that I want to code and bring that into fieldwork. You can also code on the text. And you can also code on articles, so I'll bring up a journal article to code. So if I want to code on the text, I can. So I can click, and then I'll right click in this case and go to code selection and pick fieldwork. You can also code on images in the text. So if I wanted to code on this chart, I could change from text to region. And then I'll just create a box around the chart and bring that into fieldwork. You can also code on images. So here I can pick part of the picture. So maybe I want to create a box around the nets to code to, and I can drag that into fieldwork along with the text. You can also work on social media, for example. So this was imported from Twitter. So it's showing you the tweets here. You can code, and then the rest of this is more of your attributes, so your demographic data. So I could compare later what the different hashtags said. So if I want, I can code. I can also look at survey data. So this is a survey that was brought in. So again, I have the open-ended responses that I can code, and then the rest of the information is my attributes or demographics. So I'll highlight this, and I could go down if I wanted to the bar at the bottom, go to fieldwork and code. And then I'll open up Barbara's interview and code part of the interview so you can see what it looks like in the code. So now I've coded a bunch of different sources to fieldwork. So I have 7 files that I coded, and then 11 references. So 11 items from those 7 files that I coded. So I'm in fieldwork, the code, and it's showing me the different sources that I coded from. I can always get back to the original source. So if I want to go to Barbara's interview, it's going to show me what was coded there. I can, on the right here, I can see this, I'm in the reference tab. The reference tab shows me what I coded. The summary tab is going to show me all the different data sources that I coded. The text will show just the text that was coded. The picture shows the picture that was coded. The audio, this was coded, so only that will play back in the code. Same with the video, this part was coded. And then the data sets here, both the Twitter and the survey responses. So the reference here is going to be very helpful to me. I can always export this to a Word document to help me to start writing about this theme. And I also want to show you can always uncode too. So if I go to Barbara's interview, and I find the easiest thing if I bring up coding stripes, so recently coded, I can see field work here. If I want, I can right click on field work and say uncode. And so just that will be taken from the interview. So if I go back to field work, you'll see Barbara's interview isn't listed anymore. So it's very easy to uncode. You can also highlight something you want to uncode in the code and go to uncode. And then you tell the software, yes, I want to take it from field work. And then it's uncoded. I'm going to close everything all at once. So now I just coded by looking at each resource and document and coding in it. I can also use the software to help me code autocode. So if I go to interviews here, I can highlight all my interviews and go to autocode. And I have a couple options for autocoding. So I can identify themes or autocode sentiment. I could autocode by speaker's name if I was doing a focus group, and for example, or even an interview with multiple people. Or I can also code by a style or structure, and then also use existing coding patterns. So if you code about 10% of your data, the software learns how you're coding, and then it will code the rest for you. So for this, I'm going to show you how to auto code by themes. So we'll go next. So the software is going through all my interviews here. So it's going to show me the different codes it came with, and then the subcodes underneath it. If I don't want a code to come in the final, I can just click on it, and then I'm going to go next, and I can either code by sentences or paragraphs. It's going to save it in its own folder under codes here called auto-coded themes. This helps me keep these codes separate from the ones that I've created, and then I can decide what I want to bring into my own coding structure. So here I have a hierarchical chart that's showing me the top node and the nodes underneath it. I also get a table showing me all the interviews and the different codes. This might help me jumpstart my analysis. So I might see something like this where a lot of people are talking about phishing, so maybe that's where I want to start. Or at the end of my research project, I might want to run auto coding again and see if I missed anything, to see if I reached saturation. So again, I can choose all my interviews and go to auto code. And I'm going now do by sentiment, what's positive or negative. The software has an algorithm that helps me through this. And then I'm going code by sentences. So it's going to give me a hierarchical graph again that's showing me by interview what was positive, negative, or mixed, or neutral. And then this table is showing me the same thing. And anything can be exported out of NVivo, so I could export this if I wanted to also. So both of my auto-coded codes go into a folder. So here for the themes, I can see all the codes and subcodes. And then for sentiment, it's in the sentiment folder, so I can see what was positive or negative. So if I open up the very positive, for example, NVivo might not catch sarcasm. So if I wanted to change something, if I found that this was sarcastic, I could highlight it and then change sentiment. So I might do very negative. Now you can also auto code a couple other ways. So if I set up my interview with headings like this, I can ask the software to auto code by heading. So that will bring everything underneath this question 1 into one code called question 1 connection to down east. So to do that, go ahead and highlight Barbara's interview there, click on it, and go to auto code and do it by use the style or structure. And I'm going to ask it to do by paragraph style. And I'll ask it to do these two headings. Codes, and let's call this heading so we can see it. And finish. So here it is under headings. It came in, and you can see it broke it up by the questions. So if I open question 1, it's just going to show me what was said under question 1. And then it broke it down by Barbara and Henry also. So another thing you can do is you can go to the survey, and I can also do the open-ended question by column headings. So I can go to auto code and go by style. So it's going to put it in the columns here. And these are the open-ended questions. So you can see this, and this is by the survey results. So it did it here too. So I can see by each column what there's, in this case, 104, 103 individual responses. You can also auto code by speaker. So if I want to go back to Barbara's interview and go to auto code and do it by speaker, in this case, it's going to create cases per speaker. So I have Henry, and then I'm going to also put in Barbara. Go next. I'm going to create a new one so we can see it. It's called speaker. Go to finish. And when I go to cases here, you'll see I have it for Barbara and Henry, and it's just what they said in the interview now is in that case. So I could just code or run queries from that. So relationships are created. So if you're studying, for example, some people are married or is just studying a tribe, you might want to create relationships in between the people in the tribe or people, the husband and wife, and be able to see how that works together. And then relationship types, you can create these too, deciding how people mentioning certain things, who's married, who's a member of a church, for example, and so on. And I would recommend going to our help menu to get more information if you want to learn more about how to create relationships in more detail. Now, cases, think of these as your units of analysis, what you're studying. So in this case, we had interview participants. So a case was created for each interview participant. This allows you to put all the data that you have in regards to your participants or units of analysis. So they interviewed Barbara twice, so they have the 2 interviews here. And then the case classifications allow you to assign demographic information to the cases or your units of analysis. So then I know what community Barbara's in, her generation here, her age group, her gender, educational level. So then all this information is assigned to Barbara's case. So if I go in and go to case properties, you'll see that. So then all the data that is assigned to Barbara also has the attributes assigned to it. So this becomes quite powerful when we go to the Explore section of the navigation pane and go to queries, because then I can ask the software, I want to see what all of a certain age group said about something. It's easy to create a new case. I can go here and new case and give my name. So I could I'm a participant, and then I can go to attribute values and go to person, and I could assign what community I'm from, which generation, the gender level, and so on. And so that would be assigned to me, and then all the data that I bring into this case, interviews or pictures or anything associated with Stacy, that would be also the attributes would be associated with Stacy. And to go to attributes, I can always create a new attribute if I need to. Like time frame, and then go to values and add whatever would make sense based on my demographic information, and then that can be assigned to Barbara. You could also import this information if you already have it in an Excel sheet or through SPSS, and then NVivo will automatically create the cases and the case attributes here and case classifications for you. And again, if you go to help, there's more explanation on how to create classification sheets right here. Now, notes, you can create memos. So memos are used to help you reflect on your research process or your coding, really anything that you think is important to keep track of. So to create a memo, you can either right click, go to new memo here, or I can create give it a description. One thing I like to do with memos, if I go to edit here, I can ask it to insert a date, time, and then that'll just help me keep track of what was important to me about the coding. Maybe I want to be writing a coding memo to a particular code, so I can also create a memo link. So if I go to the interview, right click, go to a memo link, into a new memo or existing memo. So I'll do the existing memo and go to the coding memo and click there. So then, and I could do that with an interview or with a code. I could create any, but it's just a one-on-one link. I can only link a memo to one item in the software. If I need to link multiple things to something, I would use a see also link. So here are a list of see also links. So you can see this is from the project protocol memo to the memo folder, and it's linked to the journal here, research journal, and it's going to keep track of when I did it. So if I want to, I'm going to go here and go open up Barbara's interview, go to edit, I can view see also links, or I can add one. So maybe I want to add one with this. Add see also link. So I want selected content and I want to add it to my memo. I could pick something else to add it to. So now you can see that this is showing me the see also link. It's highlighted in pink, so I know that that was I have a link to the memo here. And if I go back to the memo itself, I can also ask the software to see view all memo links. Annotations are a way to write notes to yourself, sort of like instead of the margins of a paper, when you're writing, it'd show up at the bottom of the document. So again, if I go to Barbara's interview, I can add annotation. So maybe I want to write a note about this part. So I can write an annotation to myself, and then that is blue. So if I click on it, it'll take me to the annotation. So you can see now I can see both at the end, the see also links and the annotations here. Now, the framework matrix is a way to see your coding in the different cases that you have. So to create a framework matrix, again, I could right click, or I could go up to create, and click on framework matrix, give it a name, and in the rows, I'm going to pick the cases. So I'm going to go to my interview participants and pick 4. And then in the columns, I'm going to pick the codes that I want to look at per interviewer or interviewee. Click OK. And so it comes in, I can auto summarize. It's going to fill in the cells, the coding that was done here and by the different people I interviewed. This can be exported into an Excel sheet. So I find this a really good report to use if you want to share with people that don't have NVivo or to help you get started writing also. Now sets. We have 2 types. We have static sets. So these allow you to pick what you want to be in the set. So let's say I wanted to create a set about items around water, for example, in this. So I can create a new set. I'd call it water. So I go here. I can then add static items. So if I want, I can go to bring this time. I can bring in the literature. I could bring in really anything I wanted to. So I could go to codes. Water quality. I'll bring in. So it's a way for me to organize everything around a topic. So that will allow me, if I want to run queries on a specific topic, I can do that. Dynamic sets are a little different. So dynamic sets are collections of project items that meet search criteria that I decide. So if I want to create a new, and then go to search criteria, I have to tell the software where I want to find this, with what by users. I need to fill this information to create the dynamic set. One other thing I wanted to show you about codes is that you can rearrange codes any way you would like. So you can see I have a coding hierarchy here. So the first code is called the parent code, and then code underneath it are called child codes. And then if you go in another layer, it'd be grandchild codes. I would suggest not going much farther than 3 layers because it gets a little busy and harder to manage. But I had created field work here, and if I wanted to put it into underneath one of the parent codes here, I could. I tend to copy or I could cut. So if I cut and I want to bring it under economy, I can by right clicking and go to paste, and you'll see now I have fieldwork underneath. I can also merge codes together. So if I feel like fieldwork and agriculture I want to bring under agriculture, to me it's very similar. I can cut or copy. I'll cut and go to agriculture and merge into the selected code. So everything I coded with fieldwork will come in under agriculture. So you can arrange this any way you'd like. It's meant just to help you with how you want to code. Here are some NVivo solutions. So NVivo can help you collect your data. We have NVivo integration for Word, Excel, and Outlook. This is a 12-month subscription that comes with NVivo. We also have NVivo transcription, so you can pay as you go as an individual, or with an organization or university, you can get unlimited use. We also have NVivo desktop, either Windows or a Mac version. And NVivo collaboration, we have 2 options: collaboration cloud, which is meant for a team of up to 5, or a collaboration server for a larger team that also wants to work simultaneously on their project, and it sits on a dedicated server at your organization. In our NVivo learning journeys, we have NVivo certification courses, one-on-one coaching, and on-site workshops. Just a little bit more about learning journeys. We have NVivo Academy, so you can do a certified user course for weeks, self-paced and on demand, and a NVivo certified trainer supports you. We also have virtual coaching with our NVivo certified trainers, and then on-site workshops at your location with an NVivo certified trainer. The NVivo community, we'd like to connect you with your fellow researchers. This is a global network within disciplines across organizations, and it's a community of practice for qualitative and mixed methods researchers. To join, just please go to this location, and then you'll be updated with a newsletter on upcoming events and activities the community is involved with. So thank you for joining me today. To find out more about NVivo, please visit our website.